Picture this, a packed New York gallery, buzzing with the energy of Manhattan's elite art scene. Under harsh spotlights that could blind a pilot, a 77-year-old African-American woman stands before a canvas so massive it could swallow a small apartment. Her silver-streaked dreads catch the light like winter lightning. Her eyes, dark as storm clouds over Lake Michigan, scan the crowd with the intensity of a predator sizing up prey. Ruby Thompson grips the silk sheet covering her masterpiece. Her weathered hands, stained with decades of paint and sacrifice, tremble not with age but with anticipation. The gallery falls silent. You could hear a champagne flute drop 3 blocks away. She yanks the sheet away with the force of a woman who has nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The canvas explodes in color. A colossal painting depicting a crumbling family empire, faces twisted in greed and regret, money scattered like autumn leaves in a hurricane. The crowd gasps, as if they've witnessed a car crash in slow motion. "They thought they could bury me alive," Ruby declares, her voice booming like thunder rolling across the Chicago skyline. The words slice through the gallery like a knife through butter. But hold on tight, folks. If you've ever been stabbed in the back by your own blood, if you've ever trusted family only to have them plot your downfall, this story of raw revenge and karma's bite will fire you up to reclaim your power. Start now by grabbing that coffee and settling in. You won't want to miss how Ruby Thompson, our fierce heroine, turns the ultimate betrayal into her greatest triumph. Let's rewind 6 months. Flash back to Chicago's gritty South Side, where the wind cuts through you like a debt collector's threat, and dreams either die young or grow steel spines. Ruby Thompson has lived in the same narrow house for 43 years. The walls are covered with her paintings, each canvas a window into Black resilience, struggle, and hope. Her art captures the soul of a community that refuses to bow down. She spent a lifetime pouring her heart onto canvas. While other women her age are planning cruise vacations, Ruby's still mixing colors at 3 in the morning, chasing visions that won't let her sleep. This particular Tuesday evening, Ruby's in her kitchen making sweet tea when she hears voices drifting up from the basement. Her son, Marcus, 38 years old and built like he used to play high school football, is down there with his wife, Lena. Ruby freezes. Something in their tone makes her stomach clench like a fist. She tiptoes to the basement door, her house slippers silent on the worn linoleum. Through the crack, she can see them huddled over paperwork at her old card table. "Mom's getting worse," Marcus whispers, his voice carrying that fake concern Ruby recognizes from when he was 12 and breaking windows. "The neighbors are talking. She left the stove on again last week." Ruby's heart pounds. She never left any stove on. She's sharper than a surgeon's scalpel, and they both know it. Lena, with her perfectly straightened hair and designer knockoff purse, leans closer. Sunny Meadows has an opening. The monthly fee is steep, but once we sell this house and liquidate her assets, we'll have more than enough. The words hit Ruby like a Louisville slugger to the chest. "What about all her art supplies?" Marcus asks, and Ruby can practically hear him rolling his eyes. "She's got enough paint in that studio to redecorate the Willis Tower." Lena snorts. "Garbage day is Thursday. Most of that junk is worthless anyway. Who wants paintings of old black people nobody remembers?" Ruby grips the doorframe so tight her knuckles go white. 40 years of her life's work, dismissed like yesterday's newspaper. Marcus shuffles through papers. The house should bring in at least $300,000, maybe more with the neighborhood gentrifying. Split that with what's in her savings, and we're looking at a nice nest egg. "Don't forget about Sophia's college fund," Lena adds. "Your mother's been babysitting for free for years. We deserve compensation for all the inconvenience she's caused." Ruby's granddaughter, Sophia, 16 and smart as a whip, has been the light of Ruby's life. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Ruby picks her up from school, helps with homework, listens to teenage drama over homemade cookies. Inconvenience. That's what 30 years of sacrifice gets you. "The paperwork for guardianship is almost ready," Marcus continues. "Dr. Patel owes me a favor from when I fixed his garage door. A quick assessment about her mental state, and we're golden." Ruby's breath catches. They're not just planning to steal her home. They're planning to steal her freedom, her dignity, her very identity. She backs away from the door, her mind reeling like a slot machine hitting jackpot. But this jackpot tastes like betrayal and sounds like family plotting in the basement she helped pay for. In her bedroom, Ruby clutches a faded photograph of her late husband, Jerome. His smile looks back at her, warm as summer sunshine on Maxwell Street. "They think they've got me cornered, baby," she whispers to the picture. "But they forgot who taught that boy how to play chess." A slow smile spreads across Ruby's face. Her storm cloud eyes begin to gleam with something dangerous. Something like justice. The game is about to begin. 3 floors up in her cluttered attic studio, Ruby Thompson moves like a woman possessed. Brushes fly between her fingers like weapons in a master swordsman's hands. Paint splatters across canvases with the intensity of a Jackson Pollock fever dream. This is where the magic happens. This is where Ruby Thompson becomes immortal. The studio is chaos with purpose. Easels crowd every corner like old friends at a reunion. Tubes of paint lie scattered across tables like ammunition in a war zone. The scent of turpentine and linseed oil hangs thick as Chicago summer humidity. But tonight, Ruby's not painting landscapes or portraits. Tonight, she's painting revenge. Let's dive deeper into who Ruby Thompson really is. This woman didn't just stumble into strength. She was forged in the fires of Brooklyn's Bed-Stuy neighborhood during the Jim Crow era, when being black and talented meant fighting twice as hard for half the recognition. Picture a 23-year-old Ruby, pregnant and alone after Jerome died in Vietnam. No family money, no safety net, just pure determination and paint-stained hands that refused to stop creating. She packed up her easel and her dreams, moving to Chicago's South Side, where rent was cheaper and hope ran deeper. Every dollar she earned from cleaning offices went into Marcus's education and the down payment on their narrow house. For 38 years, she sacrificed her art dreams for her son's future. While he climbed corporate ladders, she painted in stolen moments between his soccer games and school conferences. Marcus Thompson, now a slick insurance executive with a corner office downtown, treats his mother's art like a child's finger painting stuck to a refrigerator. "Mom, when are you going to grow out of this hobby phase?" he'd say, adjusting his $200 tie. Hobby, as if 4 decades of perfecting her craft was just killing time between Medicare appointments. Lena, his wife of 12 years, is even worse. A social climber with a community college degree in champagne taste, she uses Ruby like an unpaid nanny while making cutting remarks about her age. "Ruby, could you watch Sophia this weekend? We have that charity gala, and you know how you love spending time with her," Lena would purr, then whisper to friends, "Poor thing's getting so forgetful. Thank God she's still useful for babysitting." But Ruby sees everything, hears everything, remembers everything. 2 weeks after overhearing their basement conspiracy, Ruby's in Marcus's home office, ostensibly looking for a phone charger. Her real mission is reconnaissance. She slides open his desk drawer, her heart hammering like a jazz drummer in overtime. Between insurance policies and credit card statements, she finds it. A forged document claiming ownership of Ruby Thompson Art Services, LLC. Her hands shake as she reads the fine print. Marcus has been trying to legally claim her art business, a company she never even knew existed in his mind. But here's where the story gets delicious, folks. Ruby Thompson has been living a double life that would make a CIA operative jealous. For 15 years, she's been entering underground art contests under the pseudonym R.J. Brooks. While Marcus dismisses her paintings as worthless, Ruby's been winning major competitions across the Midwest. $5,000 prizes here, $10,000 awards there. Even a $25,000 grand prize from a Detroit exhibition that celebrated emerging black artists. Every single dollar went into a trust fund at a small bank in Gary, Indiana. A trust fund Marcus and Lena know absolutely nothing about. Ruby chuckles as she photocopies the forged document. Her son always was too clever for his own good, but he never was smarter than his mama. Time for some strategic misdirection. Ruby plants fake clues around the house like breadcrumbs leading wolves off a cliff. She leaves a half-written charity will on her kitchen table, bequeathing everything to the local animal shelter. Lena finds it during one of her snooping sessions and goes into full paranoid mode. "Marcus, your mother's lost her mind. She's giving our inheritance to stray cats." For 3 days, Lena searches the house like a DEA agent hunting narcotics, looking for more evidence of Ruby's mental decline. Ruby watches from her bedroom window as Lena digs through garbage cans, convinced Ruby's hiding important documents. The performance is better than anything on Netflix. But the moment that changes, everything happens on a Thursday afternoon. Ruby's helping 16-year-old Sophia with algebra when the girl looks up with those innocent brown eyes that mirror Ruby's own. "Grandma Ruby, why are Mommy and Daddy always mean to you?" The question hits Ruby like a lightning bolt. This beautiful, brilliant girl has been watching her parents treat their grandmother like a burden instead of a blessing. Ruby sets down the pencil and takes Sophia's hands. "What do you mean, baby girl?" "They talk about you like you're not even there. Last night, Daddy said you were becoming a problem that needed to be solved." Sophia's voice drops to a whisper. "Are they gonna send you away?" Ruby's heart cracks wide open. Not just for herself, but for the lesson this toxic cycle is teaching the next generation. That elderly women are disposable. That family loyalty only flows upward, never down. That's when Ruby Thompson's feminist fire ignites like rocket fuel. This isn't just about protecting her assets anymore. This is about protecting Sophia from learning that greed trumps love, that convenience matters more than respect. Ruby pulls her granddaughter into a hug that feels like a promise. "Nobody's sending Grandma anywhere, baby." But Grandma's about to teach your parents a lesson they'll never forget. The war is about to begin. Midnight in Chicago. While Marcus and Lena sleep soundly in their king-size bed, Ruby Thompson sits in her kitchen with a cup of black coffee and a burner phone she bought with cash. She dials a number she memorized 40 years ago. On the third ring, a gravelly voice answers. "Ruby Thompson, you beautiful troublemaker. What kind of chaos are you cooking up now?" Meet Clarence Washington, real estate shark from Ruby's Harlem days. Back when they were young and hungry, Clarence could flip a condemned building into a gold mine faster than Ruby could finish a portrait. "Clarence, honey, I need you to work some of that old magic. I've got a house in Chicago that needs to disappear from under some very ungrateful noses." For the next 3 weeks, Ruby orchestrates her masterpiece. While Marcus and Lena plot her downfall, she's 3 steps ahead, moving like a chess grandmaster who learned the game in Brooklyn's Washington Square Park. The house they live in, the house Ruby bought and paid for with her cleaning job money, goes on the market quietly. No yard signs, no online listings that Marcus might stumble across during his lunch breaks. Clarence handles everything through his network of investors. Cash buyers who don't ask questions and close deals faster than Chicago weather changes. But Marcus is getting impatient. The pressure's building like a tea kettle about to scream. 3 days after Ruby lists the house, Marcus corners her in the hallway. His 6-foot frame looms over her like a storm cloud, but Ruby's seen bigger storms than her own son. "Mom, we need to talk about living arrangements. Lena and I have been discussing it, and frankly, this house is getting cramped for our real family." Real family. The words slice through Ruby like a rusty blade. You know, with Sophia getting older, she needs more space for her friends, and Lena's been stressed about having to tiptoe around your art supplies all the time. Ruby looks up at this man she raised, this stranger wearing her son's face. "Oh, baby, I understand completely. Family space is so important." Her voice drips honey, but her eyes burn like hot coals. Inside her head, Ruby's narrative voice is pure fire. "Oh, honey, if only they knew Karma's got a paintbrush too, and Mama's about to paint them a picture they'll never forget." Marcus mistakes her calm for surrender. "I'm glad you're being reasonable about this. We've been looking at some really nice senior communities, places where you can pursue your hobbies with people your own age." Hobbies. There's that word again. Sharp as broken glass. "Of course, sweetheart. Whatever's best for the family." But Ruby's already 3 moves ahead. While Marcus thinks he's winning, she's installing tiny cameras in her paint supply boxes. Equipment so small it could hide in a tube of cadmium red. If they want to forge documents, she's going to capture every criminal second in high definition. The confrontation comes on a Tuesday, sharp and sudden as a Chicago winter wind. Lena bursts into Ruby's studio, holding the fake charity will, like it's evidence of war crimes. Her face is red as fresh lipstick, her perfectly styled hair slightly mussed from tearing through Ruby's belongings. "What is this?" Lena shrieks, waving the paper like a battle flag. "You're giving everything to the animal shelter? After everything we've done for you?" Ruby sets down her paintbrush with theatrical precision. "Well, darling, that inheritance you're so worried about? It's about as real as your fake smiles at church on Sunday." The room goes silent except for the hum of Ruby's ancient space heater. "You think I don't know what you two are planning? Sunny Meadows nursing home? Really?" Ruby chuckles, the sound low and dangerous. "Honey, I've been playing this game since before you learned to spell manipulation." Lena's mouth opens and closes like a fish gasping for air. "But here's the beautiful part, baby girl. While you've been counting chickens that ain't hatched, I've been moving the whole hen house." This moment triggers a flood of memories. Ruby's mind flashes back 60 years to her first gallery showing in Manhattan. She was 22, the only black artist in a room full of white critics who looked at her like she'd wandered in from the service entrance. "Excuse me, are you here to serve drinks?" one gallery owner had asked, eyeing her paint-stained dress with disdain. Even then, Ruby learned that survival meant being smarter, not just more talented. She documented every conversation, kept copies of every rejection letter, built a paper trail that proved her worth when words weren't enough. The same skills that helped her navigate a white-dominated art world are now protecting her from her own family's greed. Back in the present, Lena's recovering from shock. "You can't be serious. Marcus handles all your finances. You don't even know how to use online banking." Ruby laughs, rich and deep as Mississippi mud. "Oh, sweetheart, you really think a woman who survived Jim Crow and raised a son alone can't figure out how to protect herself from 2 amateur grifters?" The cameras in my paint supplies have been recording for 3 weeks. Every forged signature, every fake medical assessment, every conversation about my supposed mental decline. All of it, captured in beautiful 4 Kelvin's resolution. Lena's face goes white as fresh canvas. "You want to play games with family? Fine. But remember who taught the master class. The war has officially begun." Thursday morning, 9:15 a.m. Ruby's mixing burnt umber with raw sienna when the doorbell rings with the authority of bad news. She opens the door to find 2 Chicago police officers, their faces professionally neutral. Behind them, she spots Marcus's silver Lexus parked across the street like a vulture waiting for roadkill. "Mrs. Thompson, we're here for a welfare check. Your son called, concerned about your mental state and safety." Ruby smiles, sweet as Sunday morning church service. "Officers, please come in. I've been expecting this visit." The confusion on their faces is priceless. Ruby leads them to her kitchen table, where she's prepared like a lawyer going to trial. Printed emails, bank statements, and a laptop open to video files that could end careers. "Gentlemen, before we discuss my mental state, let me show you something interesting." She hits play on the first recording. Marcus's voice fills the kitchen, crystal clear, as he discusses forging medical assessments and seizing her assets. The officers exchange looks that could stop traffic. "Ma'am, are you telling us your son orchestrated this welfare check as part of an ongoing fraud scheme?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you, honey. And I've got enough evidence to bury them both under the Illinois State Penitentiary." Within hours, Ruby's recordings are uploaded to every social media platform that matters. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. The internet moves faster than Chicago gossip, and this story has everything people love to hate. Entitled Adult Children, Elder Abuse, Family Betrayal with a Side of Insurance Fraud. The videos go viral like wildfire in August. Hashtags start trending. Family fraud. Karma eyes coming. Grandma revenge. Lena's carefully curated Instagram influencer life crumbles like a house of cards in a hurricane. Her followers, who once envied her perfect family photos and inspirational quotes about gratitude, turn on her with the fury of a scorned congregation. "This you being grateful for family, Lena?" One comment reads under her latest selfie. "The post gets ratioed so hard it breaks the algorithm." Her sponsored content deals evaporate faster than morning dew. Nobody wants their brand associated with granny abuse and attempted fraud. Marcus faces his own nightmare at the office. Water cooler conversations stop when he walks by. Conference rooms go silent when he enters. His corner office feels more like solitary confinement. "Thompson, we need to talk," his boss says on Friday afternoon, closing the door with the finality of a coffin lid. But Ruby's masterpiece is yet to come. She posts a satirical sketch online, a family portrait titled Greed Edition. It shows two hyenas circling a wise old lion, their eyes replaced with dollar signs, their mouths dripping with false concern. The caption reads, "When your own cubs think you're too old to defend the pride, plot twist, this lioness still has all her teeth." The internet explodes. Memes flood social media faster than Ruby can count them. Her sketch gets remixed, shared, and turned into everything from reaction GIFs to motivational posters. Ruby Thompson, at 77, becomes an internet sensation. The family showdown happens on a Sunday evening, in Ruby's living room where Marcus learned to walk and Lena learned to scheme. Marcus stands in the doorway like a man facing execution. His designer suit looks wrinkled, his confidence shattered like dropped china. "Mom, please, we can fix this. The whole thing got out of hand. I never meant for it to go this far." Ruby sits in her favorite armchair, the one Jerome bought her for their 10th anniversary. Her eyes are calm as deep water, but underneath, currents of justice run swift and sure. "You never meant to get caught, baby. That's different than never meaning to hurt me." Lena hovers behind Marcus like a shadow, her influencer confidence replaced by the look of someone whose world is collapsing in real time. "Mom, think about Sophia. Think about the family. We made mistakes, but we're still blood." Ruby stands, and despite being 5'4" in stocking feet, she seems to tower over them both. "Blood? You want to talk about blood?" Her voice builds like thunder rolling across Lake Michigan. "I bled for 38 years raising you. Bled working 3 jobs to pay for your education. Bled every time I chose your future over my dreams." Marcus steps forward, desperation making him bold. "I'll make it right. Whatever you want, we can start over." Ruby's laugh is sharp as broken glass. "Start over? Baby, you built your empire on my back, and now you get to watch it burn. The house you live in? Sold. The trust fund you've been counting? Protected. The reputation you thought would carry you through life? Buried under the same dirt you tried to shovel on mine." Later that evening, Ruby sits in Baskin-Robbins with Sophia, sharing a hot fudge sundae and watching her granddaughter process the family implosion. "Grandma, are Mommy and Daddy really bad people?" Sophia asks, her spoon halfway to her mouth. Ruby chooses her words carefully, like selecting the perfect shade of blue for a summer sky. "Baby girl, they're hurt people who hurt other people. But that doesn't make it right, and it doesn't mean we have to accept it." She tells Sophia stories of black women who refused to bow down. Harriet Tubman leading slaves to freedom. Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat. Maya Angelou rising from poverty to become a voice for generations. "Strong women run in our family, sweetheart. Your mama and daddy forgot that, but you won't." But karma isn't finished with its lesson. Whispers are already starting about Marcus's business dealings. Anonymous tips to the State Insurance Commission about missing client funds. Questions about his online art shop that's been charging customers for Ruby's paintings without her knowledge. The empire is crumbling, brick by brick. And Ruby Thompson is just getting started. The house sells on a Tuesday morning for $350,000 cash. Not to some suburban family, with minivans and dreams of white picket fences. Ruby sells it to the Southside Artists Collective, a group of young creatives who've been priced out of every neighborhood from Pilsen to Logan Square. The irony is delicious. Marcus and Lena's perfect family home becomes a creative sanctuary for the exact type of people they'd cross the street to avoid. Ruby pockets every penny, watching from her lawyer's office as the collective members measure walls for murals and plan community art classes in what used to be Lena's pristine living room. Art always finds a way home, Ruby murmurs, signing the final papers with a Mont Blanc pen that costs more than Lena's weekly grocery budget. But Marcus and Lena aren't going down without swinging. 3 days after the house sale, Ruby receives a legal notice that makes her laugh out loud in the post office. They're suing her for defamation, claiming her viral videos and social media posts have damaged their reputations and cost them financially. The audacity could power half of Chicago. Ruby calls the only lawyer she trusts, Diana Washington, Clarence's sister, who fought her way through Northwestern law when being black and female meant studying twice as hard for half the recognition. Diana walks into their meeting wearing a power suit that could intimidate a Supreme Court justice and a smile sharp enough to cut diamonds. Ruby Thompson, you beautiful chaos agent. These fools really think they can sue you for telling the truth? The legal documents spread across Diana's mahogany desk like evidence at a crime scene. Marcus and Lena claim emotional distress, lost income, and damage to their professional standing. Diana, they tried to steal my house, forge my medical records, and throw me in a nursing home. Now they want damages because people found out about it? Diana's laugh could shatter windows. Honey, by the time I'm done with them, they'll be paying you damages for the privilege of breathing the same air. But the real bombshell comes from an unexpected source. Sophia appears at Ruby's temporary apartment on a Thursday evening, her teenage face a mixture of determination and fear. She's carrying a manila envelope like it contains state secrets. Grandma, I found something really bad. Inside the envelope are credit card statements, loan applications, and bank records, all in Ruby Thompson's name. All signed by Lena Thompson in handwriting that's close but not quite perfect. I was looking for my birth certificate for college applications when I found Mom's filing cabinet, Sophia explains, her voice shaking like autumn leaves. She's been using your identity for months. Credit cards, personal loans, even a car payment. The evidence hits Ruby like a physical blow. Not just the financial fraud, but the realization that this goes deeper than greed. This is systematic identity theft, planned and executed while sharing Sunday dinners and birthday cakes. Ruby sits down heavily, her mind reeling through decades of memories now tainted with new understanding. You know what hurts the most, baby girl? It's not the money. It's remembering how Marcus abandoned me right after your granddaddy died. The words pour out like water through a broken dam. Jerome had been gone 6 months, and I was drowning in grief and bills. Marcus was 22, fresh out of college, ready to conquer the world. I called him crying one night, begging him to come home for the weekend, just so I wouldn't be alone in that house full of memories. You know what he said? Sophia shakes her head, tears building in her young eyes. He said, "Mom, I'm building my future. I can't keep living in the past with you." Then he didn't call for 3 months. Ruby's voice breaks slightly, but she pushes through like she always has. I learned that night that some people only love you when it's convenient, when you're useful, when you're not too much trouble. 38 years I spent proving I wasn't too much trouble. 38 years of making myself smaller so he could feel bigger. Sophia reaches across the table and takes her grandmother's paint-stained hand. You're not small, Grandma. You're the biggest person I know. Ruby smiles through tears that taste like justice and vindication. You know what they say about life giving you lemons? Make lemonade? Honey, I'm turning these lemons into lemonade and spiking it with enough revenge to knock out a linebacker. The gallery opening is 3 weeks away. Ruby's been working 18-hour days, channeling 40 years of suppressed anger into canvases that scream truth louder than any courtroom testimony. The centerpiece is a massive painting called Karmic Cycles. It shows generations of families locked in patterns of abuse, greed, and betrayal, with one figure breaking free and ascending toward light. Each brushstroke carries the weight of every midlife person who's ever been taken advantage of by family. Every elder dismissed as obsolete. Every dreamer told their time has passed. The paintings don't just tell Ruby's story. They tell the story of anyone who's ever been underestimated, discarded, or betrayed by the people who should protect them. This exhibition isn't just about my family, Ruby tells Diana during a planning session. It's about every family where love got twisted into manipulation, where respect got replaced with exploitation. These paintings are mirrors. People are going to see themselves, their own toxic patterns, their own moments of choosing convenience over compassion. Diana nods, understanding the deeper game. You're not just exposing Marcus and Lena, you're holding up a mirror to society. Exactly. And mirrors don't lie, even when the truth is uglier than anyone wants to admit. The opening is going to be more than an art show. It's going to be a reckoning. Opening night at the McKinley Gallery on Chicago's North Side. The space buzzes with the electricity of high-stakes art unveiling, champagne glasses clinking like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Ruby Thompson stands before her masterpiece, wearing a vintage black dress that belonged to her mother and silver jewelry that catches the gallery lights like captured starfire. The crowd is a mix of Chicago's art elite, social media influencers with their phones ready, and everyday people drawn by the viral story that's been dominating their feeds for weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, the gallery owner announces, his voice cutting through the sophisticated chatter. Tonight, we witness the triumph of truth over betrayal, art over greed, wisdom over manipulation. Ruby steps forward, her hand resting on the silk sheet covering her largest canvas. At 77, she commands the room with the presence of a woman who's survived everything life could throw at her. This painting represents more than my personal story, Ruby begins, her voice carrying the authority of decades spent fighting for respect. It represents every family torn apart by greed, every elder dismissed as expendable, every dream deferred but never destroyed. She pulls away the sheet with theatrical flair. The canvas explodes with color and meaning. Karmic Cycles shows a massive wheel of fortune, with figures climbing, falling, and being crushed by their own greed. At the center, a wise woman painter holds a brush dripping with liquid gold. The crowd gasps like they've witnessed a miracle. Art critics scribble notes frantically. Phone cameras flash like paparazzi at a movie premiere. The energy in the room shifts from polite appreciation to genuine awe. "This is revolutionary," whispers Helena Morrison, the Tribune's chief art critic. Thompson has created a visual manifesto on family dynamics and generational trauma that speaks to our current cultural moment. The crowd presses closer, studying every brushstroke, every symbolic detail. Ruby basks in the recognition she's deserved for 40 years. Then the gallery door slams open like a gunshot. Marcus Thompson storms in wearing a wrinkled suit and the desperate look of a man whose world is collapsing in real time. Lena follows behind him, her Instagram-perfect makeup smudged with tears and rage. The crowd parts like the Red Sea as Marcus pushes through, his eyes locked on Ruby with the intensity of a predator cornering prey. "This ends now, Mom. You've had your fun, but enough is enough." Ruby doesn't flinch. She stands her ground like an oak tree weathering a storm. "Marcus, darling, you're making a scene. This is a respectable art gallery, not a family therapy session." "Cut the act," Marcus snarls, his voice loud enough to echo off the gallery walls. "Half of these paintings are mine by right. I'm your son. I'm entitled to my share of everything you've built." The crowd watches in stunned silence, phones recording every word for posterity and social media. "Entitled?" Ruby's voice carries 40 years of suppressed fury. "The only thing you're entitled to is the consequences of your choices." That's when Sophia appears, moving through the crowd like a young warrior princess. In her hands, she carries a folder thick with documents that could end careers. Actually, Dad, the only thing you're entitled to is a prison cell. The 16-year-old's voice cuts through the tension like a sword through silk. She walks to the center of the gallery, positioning herself between Ruby and Marcus. Grandma, these are the bank records I found. Dad's been embezzling from your online art shop for 8 months. $47,000 in fraudulent transactions. She hands the folder to Ruby, but speaks loud enough for the entire gallery to hear. He's been selling your paintings online and keeping the money while telling customers you were too sick to fulfill orders. The crowd erupts in murmurs that build to outraged conversation. Phone cameras swivel toward Marcus like weapons targeting their prey. Lena's composure finally cracks like a dam bursting under pressure. "This is insane!" she screams, her carefully constructed influencer persona dissolving into pure hysteria. "We're his family. We deserve that money. We've put up with her crazy art obsession for years." Her meltdown is spectacular and completely public. Mascara streams down her cheeks as she gestures wildly, her voice climbing to frequencies that could shatter crystal. "Do you know how embarrassing it's been having people ask about our family? Having everyone know our business? She's ruined our lives." The phones capture every unhinged second. Within minutes, clips of Lena's breakdown are uploading to TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter faster than Chicago traffic during rush hour. Marcus steps toward Ruby, his fists clenched like he's considering violence. The crowd tenses, sensing danger. But Ruby Thompson doesn't move. She meets his furious stare with the calm certainty of a woman who's already won the war. "Go ahead, baby," she says softly. "Show all these nice people exactly who you really are." A prominent art critic, confused by the drama, leans toward his companion. Is this part of the exhibition? The angry man seems to be performing some kind of commentary on masculine entitlement and family greed. "Sir," his friend whispers back, "I think that's actual greed, not performance art." The standoff lasts 30 seconds that feel like 30 years. Finally, Marcus deflates like a punctured balloon, realizing he's being recorded by dozens of phones and his reputation is being destroyed in real time. Ruby opens her arms to Sophia, and her granddaughter falls into them like a bird, finding safe harbor in a storm. "You're so brave, baby girl," Ruby whispers, tears of pride mixing with tears of vindication. "You just saved us both." The embrace represents more than family healing. It represents chosen family over blood family, courage over convenience, truth over manipulation. The gallery watches in respectful silence as 3 generations of women reclaim their power. Justice tastes sweeter than champagne. 3 weeks after the gallery showdown, Karma arrives at Marcus Thompson's office wearing badges and carrying search warrants. The IRS raid happens on a Tuesday morning at 9:15 a.m., the same time Ruby used to drop Marcus off at elementary school 30 years ago. Federal agents swarm his corner office like ants claiming territory. They seize computers, file cabinets, and financial records going back 3 years. Marcus watches from the hallway as his career dissolves in real time. Coworkers whisper behind hands, their eyes mixing pity with the relief of witnessing someone else's downfall. "Mr. Thompson, you have the right to remain silent," the lead agent says, her voice carrying the authority of justice finally served. The embezzlement charges hit like a Category 5 hurricane. $47,000 from Ruby's art sales, $15,000 from client escrow accounts, another $22,000 from the company's charity fund. The math of greed adds up to federal prison time. Meanwhile, Lena's carefully constructed social circle crumbles like a house built on sand during high tide. Her book club stops inviting her. Her yoga class friends suddenly have scheduling conflicts. Even her hairdresser starts booking her appointments during inconvenient time slots. Social media isolation hits hardest. Her follower count plummets as videos of her gallery meltdown get remixed into comedy gold. Comment sections become digital graveyards where her reputation goes to die. She sits alone in her studio apartment, scrolling through photos of the life she used to have when Ruby's money funded her illusions. Back in her temporary apartment, Ruby watches the news coverage with the satisfaction of a chess master claiming checkmate. Karma doesn't whisper, "Baby," she tells her reflection in the bathroom mirror. It roars like thunder over Lake Michigan, and everybody better listen. But the sweetest revenge is Ruby's explosive success. Every painting in the gallery sells within 48 hours, not just to local collectors, but to museums, private foundations, and celebrities who want to own pieces of the viral revenge story. The bidding war for karmic cycles reaches 6 figures before a women's advocacy group in California claims victory. Ruby's bank account swells like spring floodwaters, but money was never the point. Justice was the point. Vindication was the point. Proving that dreams deferred don't have to mean dreams denied. She establishes the Thompson Foundation for Elder Protection, named after her late husband, whose memory deserved better than the greed that followed his death. The foundation provides legal support for seniors facing family exploitation, art therapy for trauma healing, and emergency housing for elders escaping abusive situations. Jerome always said helping others was the highest form of art. Ruby tells the foundation's board during their first meeting, "Time to paint a better world, one rescued grandmother at a time." On a crisp October afternoon, Ruby drives to Graceland Cemetery, where Jerome rests under an oak tree that's older than both their lifetimes combined. She brings fresh daisies, his favorite, and sits on the marble bench they installed together 40 years ago when they thought they'd grow old watching grandchildren play on this very spot. "Well, baby, I did it. Took longer than expected, but justice finally showed up to the party." The wind rustles through autumn leaves like Jerome's laughter. Ruby feels his presence in the October sunshine warming her shoulders. Marcus turned out different than we hoped. But Sophia, our grandbaby, she's got your heart and my backbone. She's going to change the world. Tears come, but they taste like relief instead of grief. Like closure instead of regret. That evening, Ruby meets Diana and Clarence at a South Side wine bar where the owner displays local art and the conversation flows as smooth as the vintage. To Ruby Thompson, Diana raises her glass high, who proved that revenge is a dish best served with paintbrushes and perfect timing. To second acts, Clarence adds, and to women who refuse to go gentle into anybody's good night. Ruby laughs, rich and deep as Mississippi Delta blues, to building ourselves so strong that nobody can break us, no matter how hard they try. The final confrontation comes unexpectedly, as the best ones always do. Ruby's loading groceries into her car outside Whole Foods when Marcus appears like a ghost from her past. He looks smaller somehow, diminished by consequences and the weight of his choices. "Mom, please, just 5 minutes. I need to say something." Ruby continues loading bags, her movements deliberate and unhurried. "You had 38 years to say something that mattered, baby. Time's up." "I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I need you to know I'm sorry." Marcus's voice cracks like adolescent heartbreak. "I was scared about money, about the future. I made terrible choices." Ruby closes the trunk with the finality of a coffin lid. "You weren't scared about money, Marcus. You were greedy for money. There's a difference." She turns to face him, her storm cloud eyes clear as mountain air. "You weren't scared about the future. You were willing to steal mine to guarantee yours. I forgive you because carrying anger is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. But forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, and it sure doesn't mean pretending this didn't happen." Marcus reaches toward her, desperation making him bold. "We could start over, be a family again." Ruby steps back, her voice carrying the strength of every woman who ever had to choose herself over family expectations. "Baby, I built me, piece by piece, dream by dream, brushstroke by brushstroke. You can't break what I built, and you can't fix what you broke." She gets in her car and drives away, leaving Marcus standing in the parking lot with the consequences of his choices. In her rearview mirror, Ruby sees him getting smaller and smaller until he disappears completely. Justice tastes like freedom. 6 months later, Ruby Thompson steps off a Greyhound bus into the humid embrace of New Orleans' morning air. The French Quarter welcomes her with jazz music drifting from open windows and the smell of beignets mixing with café au lait. At 77, she's starting over in a city that celebrates second acts and treats artists like royalty instead of burdens. The Marigny Arts District becomes her new kingdom, a converted warehouse space with exposed brick walls, 20-foot ceilings, and enough natural light to make any painter weep with gratitude. Ruby's studio neighbors include a sculptor who works with recycled metal, a photographer documenting climate change, and a muralist whose work covers buildings from Treme to the Bywater. For the first time in decades, Ruby is surrounded by people who understand that art isn't a hobby. It's a calling, a necessity, a way of breathing that keeps souls alive. "Welcome to the neighborhood, sister," says Amara, a 30-something painter whose canvases explode with the same vibrant energy that flows through New Orleans streets. "We've been following your story online. You're already a legend around here." Ruby laughs, the sound mixing with distant street music. "Honey, I'm just getting started." The mentorship happens naturally, like jazz improvisation that finds its rhythm without sheet music. Young black artists gravitate toward Ruby's studio like flowers turning toward sunlight. They come seeking technique advice, but leave with life lessons wrapped in stories about resilience and self-worth. "Art saved my life more times than I can count," Ruby tells a 17-year-old muralist named Kendrick, who reminds her of Marcus at that age, before greed poisoned his dreams. "When the world tries to make you small, you paint yourself larger than life." She teaches them about the business side that art schools skip: how to price work appropriately, protect intellectual property, and build sustainable careers without compromising artistic integrity. "Your art has value because you have value," Ruby repeats like a mantra. "Don't let anybody convince you otherwise, especially family who should know better." Every other weekend, Sophia takes the train down from Chicago. She's enrolled at Northwestern now, studying art therapy with plans to work with trauma survivors. They spend Saturday mornings in the French market, sketching tourists and sharing stories over café beignets. Sophia documents everything in a journal she's keeping for her senior thesis on intergenerational healing. "Grandma, you look different here," Sophia observes during one visit, her pencil capturing Ruby's profile as morning light streams through their café window. "Like you're finally breathing all the way." Ruby pauses, her coffee cup halfway to her lips. "I spent so many years holding my breath, baby, waiting for permission to be myself, to take up space, to matter. Now I breathe like the world belongs to me, because it does. It belongs to all of us." The success montage unfolds like a movie, celebrating the American dream, realized later than expected, but deeper than imagined. Gallery openings across the South feature Ruby's work. The New York Times art section runs a full-page profile titled "The Grandmother Who Painted Her Way to Justice." Museums from Atlanta to Los Angeles acquire pieces for their permanent collections. Financial freedom flows like the Mississippi River after spring rain, not just from art sales, but from speaking engagements, book deals, and a documentary crew that's been following her story for 6 months. The Jerome Thompson Foundation expands to 5 cities, helping hundreds of elders escape exploitation and reclaim their dignity. But the deepest satisfaction comes from inner peace that money can't buy and fame can't manufacture. Ruby wakes up every morning in a city that celebrates creativity instead of merely tolerating it. She goes to sleep every night knowing she chose herself over family obligation, truth over convenient lies. On a December evening, as winter light filters through her studio windows, Ruby stands before her largest canvas yet. The painting shows a massive family tree, its roots deep and strong, but with diseased branches being pruned away to make room for new growth. Golden sunlight breaks through storm clouds, illuminating healthy limbs reaching toward limitless sky. At the base of the tree, a woman with silver-streaked hair holds pruning shears in one hand and a paintbrush in the other. Her face radiates the calm certainty of someone who has fought for her peace and won. In the end, Ruby speaks to the camera crew documenting her latest work, her voice carrying the authority of lived experience and hard-won wisdom. Revenge isn't about destruction, it's about rising. It's about refusing to let other people's limitations become your ceiling. It's about choosing growth over grudges, healing over hatred. She dips her brush in golden paint, adding final highlights to the sunrise breaking through the painted storm clouds. Karma isn't cruel. Karma is just. It doesn't destroy people. It reveals who they really are and gives the rest of us permission to respond accordingly. Ruby steps back from the canvas, her face glowing with satisfaction that runs deeper than artistic achievement. Sometimes the greatest revenge is simply refusing to carry other people's poison. Sometimes the sweetest justice is building a life so beautiful that the people who tried to tear you down become irrelevant to your story. The camera captures her smile, luminous as New Orleans sunrise, as jazz music drifts through open windows and the smell of hope mingles with turpentine and possibility. Ruby Thompson, at 77, has painted her way to freedom, and the masterpiece is her life. Fade to black on the sound of her laughter, rich and free as the Mississippi flowing toward endless horizons. The end credits roll over real footage of Ruby mentoring young artists, Sophia graduating college, and the foundation helping families across America. Justice, it turns out, tastes like new beginnings.